Welcome to IQD Dinar News, your go-to source for the latest updates on currency exchange rates, revaluation news, and insights into the Iraqi dinar. Stay informed and ahead of the curve with our timely analysis and breaking developments. The connection between the hydrocarbon law, HCL, and exchange rate changes is a topic often discussed in the context of Iraq's economic situation. The HCL, which regulates the management and distribution of oil revenue in Iraq, is seen as a critical piece of legislation for the country. Its implementation is viewed as a sign of political stability and economic reform, which can significantly influence the valuation of the Iraqi dinar, IQD. One of the reasons the HCL is considered so important is due to Iraq's economy being heavily dependent on oil exports. Oil revenue constitutes a significant portion of the country's GDP and government income. Therefore, how this revenue is managed, distributed, and shared among Iraq's various regions can have a direct impact on the country's economic outlook. A well-implemented HCL would provide a transparent and fair distribution of oil revenues to the different regions, which could potentially reduce political tensions and foster a more stable environment for economic growth. When the HCL is fully enacted, it could lead to a more stable economic landscape in Iraq, which in turn would positively affect the confidence in the national currency, the Iraqi dinar. Investors and financial markets often look for signs of stability, governance, and transparency in a country's economic policy before they feel confident investing or holding a particular currency. If the HCL is implemented successfully, it would signal to international observers that Iraq is moving towards a more stable and predictable economic framework, potentially prompting an adjustment in the exchange rate of the IQD. The exchange rate of a currency is influenced by various factors, including supply and demand in the foreign exchange market, inflation rates, interest rates, and the political and economic stability of the country. When a country experiences significant positive changes in its economic policies or conditions, such as the implementation of the HCL, it can lead to increased demand for its currency. This increase in demand could result in an appreciation of the currency, or a higher exchange rate, as more investors are willing to hold that currency. In Iraq's case, the anticipation of the HCL's implementation could create expectations of a stronger currency, especially if it is believed that the law will help stabilize the country's finances and promote economic growth. The issuance of lower denomination notes is typically done after a currency revaluation, where the exchange rate is adjusted to reflect a stronger currency. This allows the lower notes to be used for smaller transactions, integrating them into the daily economy effectively. The concept of currency revaluation entails adjusting the official exchange rate of a country's currency, usually to a higher value. This process is different from a devaluation, where the currency is deliberately adjusted to a lower value. Revaluation often occurs in response to strong economic performance, a favorable balance of trade, or other factors that increase the currency's demand. If Iraq were to implement the HCL and see an improvement in its economic outlook, a revaluation of the dinar could be a logical step to align the currency's value with its perceived economic strength. The need for a new exchange rate becomes even more evident when considering Iraq's monetary policy goals. The central bank would not introduce new lower denominations without first addressing the currency's value, because lower denomination notes would be almost useless if the currency remains undervalued. For instance, if the exchange rate is too low, a lower denomination note would have very little purchasing power, making it impractical for everyday use. Therefore, a change in the exchange rate is essential to make these lower denominations functional in the economy. A sudden revaluation of the dinar without adequate preparation could lead to a surge in demand for imported goods, which could destabilize prices. The synchronization of the HCL, new exchange rate, and lower denomination notes would create a sense of coherence in economic policy, reinforcing the perception of Iraq's commitment to economic stability and growth. The HCL would ensure that the wealth generated from oil revenues is distributed fairly, the exchange rate adjustment would restore the currency's value, and the introduction of lower denomination notes would enable smoother transactions. This holistic approach to economic reform would contribute to a stronger and more stable economic environment in Iraq. Additionally, the impact of the HCL on exchange rates also involves political considerations. The distribution of oil revenue is a sensitive topic in Iraq, especially between the central government and the Kurdistan Regional Government, KRG. Reaching an agreement on the HCL would indicate political unity and cooperation, which would further strengthen investor confidence in the country's economic future. Political stability is often a precursor to economic growth, and in Iraq's case, resolving long-standing issues surrounding oil revenue sharing through the HCL would be a significant step toward achieving that stability. The Iraqi central bank's role in managing monetary policy, including exchange rates, is also critical in this context. The central bank may aim to keep inflation under control while supporting economic growth. When a country implements reforms like the HCL, it could signal that the government is committed to reducing inflationary pressures by managing its fiscal policy more effectively. This can be achieved by ensuring that oil revenues are used productively, rather than resorting to excessive money printing, which can devalue the currency. By controlling inflation and implementing sound fiscal policies, the central bank could then justify a stronger exchange rate. Furthermore, the introduction of lower denomination notes could serve as a tool to absorb excess liquidity in the market. When a country experiences high levels of cash in circulation, especially in large denominations, it could lead to inflationary pressures. Introducing lower denominations after a currency revaluation helps the central bank manage the money supply more effectively. By redenominating the currency, the central bank can encourage the use of smaller denominations, which can improve monetary stability and promote economic growth. The timing of these reforms is another important factor. If the HCL is implemented before or at the same time as the currency revaluation, it would signal a comprehensive approach to economic reform. The sequencing of these events matters because each policy move can reinforce the other. For example, the HCL's enactment would address revenue sharing issues, thereby reducing political risks and encouraging foreign investment. At the same time, an adjusted exchange rate and new banknotes would facilitate smoother economic transactions, reinforcing the positive effects of the HCL. In essence, the HCL and the currency revaluation are interdependent because they both contribute to a broader strategy for economic stability and growth. The successful implementation of one would enhance the prospects of the other. If Iraq's government can enact the HCL and implement a currency revaluation with new lower denomination notes, it would likely lead to a more stable economic environment, attracting investment, and fostering a more balanced and diversified economy. Moreover, the impact on citizens would be profound. With a stronger currency, people's purchasing power would improve, making goods and services more affordable. This could contribute to a higher standard of living and increased consumer confidence. When people trust their currency and the stability of their economy, they are more likely to spend and invest, which stimulates economic growth. In conclusion, the relationship between the HCL, a new exchange rate, and lower denomination notes illustrates the interconnectedness of economic policies. For Iraq, achieving these milestones would not only strengthen the dinar but also symbolize the country's commitment to overcoming economic challenges and building a more prosperous future. Thanks for tuning in to IQD Dinar News. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. For more updates on the Iraqi dinar and global currency trends, hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.